Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and here I have another review for you, coming all the way from Australia, with director Craig Anderson's Red Christmas, filmed in 2016, starring Dee Wallace. Definitely a cool cover. Evidently, it went to several festivals, got several laurels, and has an interesting premise. And it's brought to us by Red Christmas Production Company and was distributed by Umbrella Entertainment in Australia. Artsploitation films, shorter media, and so on and so forth. Other companies that might have had something to do with it were Cartilage Films, Lab Sonics, and the Clearance Lab, which had rights and clearances. So the storyline, evidently it's set in Australia. And at the very beginning, evidently an abortion clinic blows up. And then evidently 20 years later, Dee Wallace plays a mother who has gathered her family together. Her name is Diane. And she invites her two daughters over. One of them has has either a boyfriend or a husband. I'm not sure exactly which. And apparently, Susie and Ginny are their names, I believe. And the one is pregnant and sarcastic as all heck, and the other is very quiet and evidently seems to have possibly lived or went to a private school or went to a nunnery or something like that because she came with a skinny ass priest or a pastor or something like that, and he seems to be quite the peeping Tom. Now, apparently, the so-called killer is actually, in fact, the supposedly killed off fetus in the abortion clinic many years ago, and she didn't. Diane Dee Wallace's character did not realize that the fetus had actually survived and actually found its way back home and started to wreak havoc on the family on Christmas Day. We see that the figure of the adult Down syndrome child is actually carrying an axe, and he's wearing a hood, he's wearing a mask, and when he first arrives, he actually does try to read like this really sad letter to his supposed mother, and she throws him out once she hears, that about the abortion clinic, and that's when I think the grown-up Cletus, played by Sam Campbell, ends up acting out and starting to kill off his family members just to get a simple "I love you" out of Diane. Now, the thing is, the family doesn't seem at all to love any single little bit about each other. I mean, Susie, she definitely doesn't seem to want to talk about her feelings in front of the others. I mean, she was even willing to have sex, like in her mother's home. It seems like she was very frivolous. Um, I just didn't really, I wasn't really connecting with her character at all because she was just so rude and outright obnoxious. Even though she was a pregnant woman, you you would have thought that she would have had some a modicum of decency or something like that. I mean, I understand that maybe she had a different life growing up, and maybe she was mad at her mother for selling their ancestral home that they grew up in or whatnot. But in any case, there were some the spirit of Christmas just didn't seem to be amongst the family members at all, and I think that the older man in here ultimately um, believe it was Joe, played by Geoff Morel. He he seemed like a drifter, kind of a caretaker, kind of a person who just lounged around the house, kind of kind of someone who just kind of fed off the energy of the family, and just seemed to be that person that ended up you know being one of the victims anyways. So what I didn't expect is that the skinny ass priest was actually going to have any kind of balls to carry that rifle. And uh, one of the kids ended up having Down syndrome himself. Um, so I thought that was I thought that was different, having both the sibling brothers being rivals of each other, and I thought that the theme of abortion throughout the thing did not entirely sit well with the Christmas themes, but I was really digging the way that. In a way that when you first are introduced to Cletus, he kind of reminded me of the Elephant Man. In um, other than that, I thought the film was very, very slow. I'm not exactly sure whether it wasn't the best movies, and it wasn't the worst slasher that I've seen. So it's definitely a slow burn and not for everyone. But I definitely liked the way the house looked. I liked the way the countryside side looked. I liked where it was set. So, and I got and I dug the kills. So they were definitely unique, and the way that they were portrayed. I mean, seeing Dee Wallace carry a shotgun like that in a dimly lit house from a very narrow angle, it's definitely different. In any case, definitely not a movie for everyone, but thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed my description of this film. Like and subscribe to my page if you have not. Definitely check out some of my other reviews. Check out our discussion right after this on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And thanks for watching. Appreciate it ahead of time. Thank you so much.